Hello, good evening, everyone. Very good evening. Welcome to this class on Python. Today is 1st September. Okay. And we are on day 14 or day 13. I don't remember exactly, but yeah, we were somewhere around half, half training. So I think it is day 14 today. Yes, day 14. So we are almost like half done. Okay, so what do we do now? What do we do today? Any questions you have, guys? Anything that you want to talk about? No? Awesome. Thank you, Shakil. That's a great compliment. Okay. So yes, I think we have about 6 people. So I think it's good to start. Okay. We have done almost everything in functions. There are a few more stuff which I want to demonstrate, which I want to show you before we, move from functions to class and objects. Okay. I want to show you an option where, not one option, I'll show you multiple examples, okay, where you can use function, okay, the way you will use variables, okay, very similar to how we use variables, we can use, okay, functions. We also call them as decorators, okay. So that's what generally we call them. Let's look at some examples. Okay, let's look at some examples, and then we'll talk about some inbuilt modules. Okay, that's the agenda for today. So today we'll talk about decorators. Okay, my objective is to call decorators and some inbuilt functions. Okay, that's the agenda for today, and then we will move on to tomorrow. We'll talk about class and objects. Okay. Okay, so let's see. So let's say I've defined a function called display details. Okay, I said display details, and I give your name and about. Okay, and I can say print name. Okay, name. We'll say name, and then I'm going to say about, and I'm going to say about, right? Okay. So how do we call? We can call display, oops, calling the function, and I'll simply call by, I'll say display details, right? And I will first declare a variable called name, something like this, and oops. Okay, name Sachin, okay, and about, I am international cricketer, I'm an international cricketer and love to play football, you know, something like this. Okay, so now I can say here name, comma, about, right? So now when I run it, you get name and about, isn't it? Now you can even rename a function. Just like you would rename a variable, we can rename a function. How? Okay, next I'm going to say here, print details equal to display details. Okay, so print details equal to creating another name for the function. Okay, now I say instead of display details, I'll call print details and I say name, comma, about. You see this? Here, same output, no change, right? So here, I've created a display details function, right? And here I'm saying print details equal to display details, okay? And now when I call print details, it is actually replacing, print details is getting replaced by display details. And then display details, okay, name about is called, and this is where it goes, and we get the output like this. So you can even rename a function, okay? Let's talk about another situation, okay? So I'm going to declare a function inside another function, okay? So I go here and say example 2. So I define a function called define my function 1, okay, great. And here inside this, I define another function, okay. I define let's say def my inner or inside function, okay, my inside function. And I'm defining a function inside this. So you know, this is how you define a function. So this is how you do something inside a function, right? You give a tab. In the tab space, my first line itself is defined, right? So I'm defining a function inside a function. This is how you're defining a function, isn't it? So let me define the function. I'm going to say def in my inside function, okay? And then I'm going to display a couple of lines here. Print first line from inner function, okay? I go and say print, and also getting printed in inside function. Okay. Okay, done. Now I'll do something here. I'll do like print name is getting printed in my function one. Name is getting printed in my function one. Okay, and I give, let's say, name here. Okay, print next line. I will call inside function. Okay, and I'll call this the inside function. What do you call? You simply call my inside function, isn't it? Okay, that's it. And okay, for now what I'll do, I will not call this. Okay, and I'll say print last line. Thank you. Okay, now I'm going to call my function. So what happens when I call my function? Of course, my function will call line number 15. Okay, it's going to call line number 15, and you see, you get name is getting printed in my function, next line, okay, and last line. Correct? It did not do anything else, of course, because this function is inside function, and this inside function has not been called. Function will not get called automatic. That's what we said, right? Functions will not get called automatically. We have to call the function. Okay, so now let's say I'll call this function inside this. So I'll go and I uncomment this here. So name is getting printed. Okay, next line. After next line is calling inside functions, it goes in the inside function. So first line from inner function, I'm also getting printed in inside function, and then you get your own last line. Oh, okay, when I say on, it is part of the main, okay, that which is now my function. So a function can call another function. Okay, and of course, when it is callable, when it is when you have permission to call it, of course you can call it, and this is how exactly it behaves, how it would do on a main function. I hope it's clear, everyone. So so I'm going to call, first case, I rename the function name the way you would do a variable, right? Not at all a problem. Okay. Okay, next, I'll show you another example where, okay, we can pass a function name, okay, to the function argument. Okay, we'll pass function name to the function argument. Okay, so let's say example 3, I call it. Let's say I'm going to write my own function here. I call it as outer function 1. Okay, and I'm going to say first line from, okay, okay, so this is one function. Now I'll define another function here. Okay, and I call it as outer function 2 here. Perfect. Now in outer function 2, I will call this with a variable, with a parameter. Okay, so let me call this as param1, and let me call this param1. So I'm passing this just like you would pass any variable, isn't it? This is how we pass values to a function. You would pass like any other variable. And now I'm going to call it and run it. Okay. So now let's say I'm calling, and I'm calling my outer function. Okay. Or no, let me call is, of course, if you call my outer function, it will be as it is, right? You will get first line, and I'm also getting normal function. But what if I call, my outer function 2, and then we put outer function here as input. Okay. So outer function 2 I'm going to call, and I'm going to pass the other function name to this. So I'm calling 2, so it'll go to 2. Okay, so param1 is now outer function. First line is printed, second line is printed. Then third line, it says param1 function. So now you're calling this outer function from here. So after printing first line, it will go here and print the next 2 line. Let's see. Okay. So see here. Okay. First line from inner function. Okay. I'm also getting printed in outer print, and then the other 2 has come. Okay. So you can pass a function name to a function argument, just like you would pass a function variable. But of course, if you know that its function name is coming, you will be ready in a position to use it like a function run. Okay. Okay. Now let's look at another example. So here, okay, here I'm thinking we will use, we will return another function. Okay, we will return. See here we have only calling, right? We'll also do return. Okay, so I'm going to write def my function 1. Okay, my function 1, and here I'm going to say return just my function. Just like you would return 0, you return 1, right? You want to, done. So, you're done, you want to go. Now this my function variable is not defined, right? So I'm going to define Okay, this as def. Okay, now what I'll do is, okay, let's have some value here. Okay, so I'm going to pass, let's say X, for example. Okay, now I'm going to say def my fun2. Okay, and I'll define y. Okay, so def my function, and inside this I'm defining my function. Okay, it's taking a value here, and I will perform some action. I'm going to say return x plus y. Okay, so x is coming from the caller directly. Okay, and y is in the inner function, which is being called by the return of the first function. Okay, now if I have to create an run my function 1. Okay, my fun2, and inside this, okay, so my fun2 is x here, right? Okay, so here what I'll do, any idea what I'm doing here? See, okay, I made a mistake here, my fun2, right? So I'm calling my function 1. My function 1 has a value x. Okay, and this is returning my fun2. Okay, this is returning my fun2. What is my fun2? My fun2 is another function inside this. So what I'll do now, I'm going to say here my function of, let's say, 10. My function of 10, if I run, what will happen? Error 1. What is the error? My function 1 takes 0 position argument. Okay, but 1 was given. Okay, because it is my function 1. Spelling error. Okay, now you see what happened. So I called 10, 10 went to x. Okay, x is 10, return my fun. So it goes here, and now it has y. So how do I catch it? How do I know it, what it is? Okay, so I can simply say, okay, I can simply say my result equal to result. So what did it print? It printed function my fun2. So it is returning my fun2, isn't it? So we don't need to return my fun2. We need to call my fun2. Okay, and this entire thing, okay, this entire thing result. Okay, so we have to now we have to now call the entire thing. My fun2 is getting data, but my fun2 is not a variable. Okay, it is a function which needs to be called, right? So I will say result bracket open and close. I'm forced to put bracket open and close. This looks like a variable result, but result is not a variable. It is a second function, which is my fun2. Okay. Now when I run it, error. Now what is the error? Missing one required argument, which is y. So here it was x, but here when you're calling my fun2, you have to pass y, isn't it? Okay. So I'm going to say result 5. Okay. Now you see you got 15 and no error. Okay. So I went here very slowly because this can be confusing. Okay. So you have to follow step by step. Okay. Please follow step by step. So we have my function 1, which is good. We are calling my function 1. Okay, we are passing 10, so x becomes 10. All fine so far. It is returning my fun2. Okay, I'm catching it's my fun2. But my fun2 is not a variable that it will print its value. It is a function. And your function will get output. Your function will get output only when it is called like a function, isn't it? So that's why I have put function around result. Yes. So this is how you get 9. You get the answer, which is 15. Okay. This is another implementation of function, just like you would implement a variable. Okay. So we'll stop here on this. There are many such examples. Okay. Okay. My aim of doing this topic was to show you that these things exist and we can do that. Okay. So you can do this as well, or when you're a program that you are checking, they might have already something like this, so you have to be careful. Okay. Now, so now the second half, I told you we'll discuss about some of the inbuilt modules that we have. Okay. So first inbuilt module we will talk about is your date and time. Okay. So module, okay, I don't know if I told you before, okay, is a file, okay, which has only the functions. Is a module is a file which has functions, and you can import those modules in your file. Okay, so let's say I have written few few functions, and you are my colleague and you want to borrow those functions. You want to use it for your purpose. Okay, so you want to use it for your purpose. Okay, so in that case, I will send you my Python files, the PY files. But how will you use it? Okay, so this is how you can use it. Let's say this P1, okay, has all the functions that I have given it to you, and you have put it in the same location. Now you want to use it. Okay, how can you use it? First thing that we do is we say import file name, import P1. That's it. See, all my functions are in P1. File name is p1.py, right? So this is the P1. I have put all my functions here, and now I'm saying import P1. Okay, that's it. I just say import P1. And now I start running. Okay, I start executing this. What happens? Okay, I'm calling this BRC August 22. It is still calling all the things that you have here, right? So when you say import file name, it executes. Okay, so that all the functions are now available for this file to call and use. Okay, so that all the functions are available for this file to use. Okay, so when you say import of a module name, it will execute that file. It will call that file. Okay, now as a developer, okay, if you want your file to be used by somebody else, then you should not write code like this, because if you write code like this and if they start importing it, they will see all this. So that's not the right way to do it. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put all those things that we have, right, which are getting called here. Okay, I'm going to, okay, functions are fine because only when you call functions it gets executed, right? So this my function, okay, okay, this is another one. So I'm going to say like this, I'm going to move all this which are actually creating those problems. Okay, now I deleted it. I only have functions now. Now when I go and run it here, so none of these things get executed, right? So, okay, so none of those gets executed. Okay, P1 is run. And how do I get all the functions from P1? I will simply say P1 dot. If you do P1 dot, you can see all the functions that we have written in P1 is available here. All the functions that I did in P1 is now available here. Yes. So I can call my author function. So this is how you can write a function and you can pass or give your functions to your friends or colleagues to take and use it. Okay, now coming back to the P1. I'm the developer and I also want to work with this. But problem is if I work with this, then the other person who is working with this file will get that error, isn't it? Not error, basically we'll get those my stuff which I'm practicing. So there is an option called name equal to main. Okay, so what you do, okay, let me not do it like this. So this file where you are developing all your functions, okay, and you want it to become a module. Module means people have appreciated the work that you have done and they want to use your work, isn't it? So in my module, I will add one extra code. If name, okay, it is double underscore. If underscore underscore name underscore underscore. If name underscore if underscore underscore name underscore underscore, both the side you have double underscore. Okay, if this is equal to, okay, in quotation underscore underscore main underscore underscore, double underscore both the sides. Okay, name also has two underscores and main also has two underscores. So I'm saying if name equal to main, then do this. Okay. Otherwise, don't do anything. So what I'm doing here is, okay, why this, sorry, double equal to, right? If condition check. So what I'm doing is I'm saying if this file is called by itself, if P1 is getting called by itself, then execute this. Then your name is main. Main means what? Okay, your file name and the function that you're calling are same. Okay, so if you're if you're executing this same file, the name equal to main will be true. Correct? The name equal to main will be true, and the entire content that we have here will be printed without any problem. Okay, but if you call from some other file, I'm calling from this file. Okay, let me comment it for now. I'm commenting from, I'm calling from this file. So see, those things are not called. Another practical tip that you have learned today. Practical tip is that if you are working with functions, developing of functions and classes both, in classes that we're going to start later tomorrow, you will see the same concept, same logic holds true. If you want to start developing a class file or a module file you think can be relevant for others to use, definitely when you are developing applications, you will use it. Okay, so in such cases, the last component should be if name equal to main, okay, then do this. Okay, if name is not main, then those things will not be called that we did. So if I go and demonstrate again, when I go and run this, okay, so I have to call this, right? What happened to P1? Okay, it got added here. Okay. So P1 is here, right? Now, if I go and run P1, all these things got called again, isn't it? Because because name is main in this case. Now, if I call this guy, oh, the click is sometimes getting problem. Okay. Those codes are not called. So when you are adding your own content and you want to review or do whatever, you have to say, okay, this condition hash, not hash, if main equal to name. Okay, main also has double underscore both the side. Main also has double underscore both the side. Okay, now you can call P1 dot author P1, only P1 will be called in this case. This is called code reusability. Do not reinvent the wheel. If you already know how to do it, if I have done it, why should you want to do same thing again? You do the next step, right? You do something more. You take mine and you build on top of that, isn't it? So this is what it says, and this is what we are doing. So you take it, okay, and you implement. You take it and you implement another function here. Okay, so this is called using file as a module. This is called using file as a module. Module is nothing but putting all functions together, and from other function you are calling and using the functions which has been defined in previous file. Okay, so to use it you have to say import and module name. Okay, import P1. Module name is same as the file name actually. Okay, so import file name basically. Okay, import file name, and then all the functions will be available to you. Okay, and you can say P1 dot author function or whatever, right? The moment I say P1, okay, and dot, all the functions that were there in the previous file is available for us to use. Okay, great. So now I'm going to use some of the inbuilt functions that we have. I'm going to use some inbuilt functions. So there's something called as date time. I'm going to say import. Okay, you have date. See, if you want to play, if you need only date, then you don't have to import time. So you can have date separately or time separately, or date time together also we have. Okay, so depending upon what you want to use. So let's say I want both. I want to play with both date and time. So I'm going to say import date time. That's it. Okay. So I'm going to, so I want to know what is the time today, or what is the time now. Okay. What's the time now? So I'll say print date time dot date time. Okay. That's not wow. Date time dot date time. Okay, date time is module. In that we have date time, and when you do dot, you can see all these options. There's option called now. If you say date time dot now, you will get the current system time. It's going to read my system and get the time. So it is 5:46. If I run it, okay, it is still running the other file. Okay, we have to call P1. 46, 5:46. It says 5:46. Yes, this is how you can read current time. I want to read current time. Okay. Now I want only date. I don't want time. Okay, I want date. So I have to read it and then filter the text out of it. Right. So I'm going to say print okay. So date, right? Date time dot now. Okay, so this is a function which is going to give us both date and time, right? Date and time. And I want to get only the date. So I'm going to say current date time, okay, dot, okay, strf time, string f time, okay. And here I'll give the template in which I want. I want first year, then I want hyphen, then I want month, okay, then I have hyphen, then I have modulo D. Why? Small m, small d. Okay. And now when you run it, oh, there's the error. What is the error? Now this is okay, sorry. This has to be as a text, okay? The template has to be in tape, string. I mean, as in single quote, right? As a string. Now, if I run it, now again, there's a problem. What is the problem now? Invalid string format. strf time, right? Okay. Okay, it says date time has no attribute STRT time. I'm not doing STRT, right? I'm doing STR. I'm saying STRF time. It's reading STRT time. This is interesting. Wait. Everything looks correct, spelling and all. Line number 3, print. Oh, okay. We'll come back to it because it's here it's show invalid string format. Invalid string format. Okay, it is not able to figure out the string format of this. So of course, see, small m, because capital M is used for minute. Okay, so that's why we are giving small m, and for date also you have small date. Instead, okay, let's do a different way. Okay, instead of trying to print all, let's print one by one. Let's see if that works. So I'm going to say print date time dot year. Okay, okay, here I missed it. It is now. Or something I'm doing not right here. Now is a function, isn't it? Sorry. Now is a function. Okay, so see, you got year, right? Now is a function. I missed that bracket. So now is a function. So now dot year will give us year, right? You can simply say now dot month. Okay, month. Okay, you get 9th month. Okay, now I want seconds or minute or hour. Everything is there. Okay, month, year, month, date. Okay, so I'll say now dot d. Okay, so date. Okay, so okay, let me put here also. No confusion will not be there. Otherwise, it's all printing some answer, right? So let me put this here. Okay, so first one is current time. Second month is current year. Okay. Okay. So I've finished doing adding the text. Here I'm going to say year, month, day, then hour, then minute, If you want, you can go down to seconds also. It'll tell you what is the current second. So it says 9th month, first day, 17 hours, 54 minutes. You see, you can read and pick date, time, month, year, everything from this one. Okay, so this is how you will use date time to get today's date, current date, right? We did random, isn't it? Okay, so we did random, that if you say import random, then we will have access to random number functions. Okay, so you can easily import inbuilt packages which doesn't come with default installation. You can, okay, not rand int. Okay, it's, sorry guys, I don't know what happened. Rand int. The rand int will give us random integer numbers. We know that, right? Okay, if you want, okay, let's run it and see. We need to print it. So I'm going to say print. Okay. Okay, so what does it say? It says random int requires 2 position arguments. This is what I wanted to show you. Random int will always say from which value to which value. And we are saying rand int, that means we want only integer values, right? So we'll say I want random integer between 20 and 10 and 20, let's say. So it'll give us, you know, multiple values between 10 and 20. You see 13. Okay. 17. Okay. So this is how you can. Now, if you want to generate any random number, then you say print random dot random. And in random dot random, you get random number, but you get between 0 and 1. So 0.046. Okay, it is always between 0 and 1. 0.88. A rand int indicates that the output will not be in decimal form, but it will be in whole digit, integer form. Okay, the random number will give us the output, or random number in whole number, right? So yes, this is my purpose was to introduce you to some of the modules, and in next class when we meet, we'll talk about class and objects, and we'll see how to implement class with methods and the variables. So now we know how to write functions. We just need to write classes. So before we end today's session, I just want to give some introduction to classes. What is a class? Class is a, okay, it says that in a simplistic term, it is a collection of variables and function. That's it. It is collection of variables and function which are related functions and variables. Okay, which are related functions and variables. Okay, so if I want to create a library class, okay, and in library class I want methods like to issue a book, to return a book, okay, to order a book, let's say. Now these are functions which are related to library. So I will write a class library, and in the class library, I will define my functions, variables, and I will use it. So what is the advantage of using class? The advantage is that you know what are the related, okay, methods and variables, and they together give definition to a class. Okay, so that we can, when I say, see, when I say, if I say var1 equal to hello, okay, so what is hello now? Hello is an string, isn't it? Because it is created object of class string, we know that it is a string. Similarly, when we create a member of a class, it inherits all the properties of that member class. Okay, all the methods, functions of the memory class is read, okay, or grouped together. So the we have done so many functions in the list, sorry, in the string. Okay, we did function to concatenate to string, to do the copy and extend, right? So when you say that it's a class object, by default, all the methods which we have done for the class is accessible. Okay, so this is exactly what we are going to do. We are going to create our own classes. We have to give our own meaning and then use it for our analysis. So with that, we complete functions. Okay, today's concepts were little tricky. Okay, tricky because the way we've been using, those are the ways we use a variable, not a functions. Okay, so tricky because we used functions as a variable. So my intention was to take you slow so that you see, understand for yourself, right? That is clear. And then we introduce it to some of the important inbuilt modules which are used. Okay, so we have seen date time, we have seen random, and there are many such functions which you can use as you go along. Okay, so if there are no questions, we'll end it here, guys. Okay, thanks for your time. Tomorrow we'll meet, and with new energy, we'll talk about class and objects before we end the session tomorrow. Make sense, everyone? Okay, then take care today. We'll see you tomorrow, same time. And very important, I would say, don't miss the session. Don't at all miss the session, because we are going to do something important. Okay, we're going to do class and object. Class and object is important because if you know class and objects, you can claim that you know Python, right? So hopefully by tomorrow, everybody will become, if not master, intermediate programmer. Will you promise me? Okay, so tomorrow, the class and objects, you'll be able to develop applications. Okay, so I want to see that you develop some applications, and I'll share the link later where you can put your stuff there, which we can verify. Okay, so we'll stop here. Thank you so much for your time, and we'll see you tomorrow with new topic, that is class and objects. Any questions on functions? Take care, everyone. Bye.